Receptive State, letting money come to you effortlessly, is a guide to shifting your mindset around wealth by embracing openness, trust, and alignment rather than stress and force. It teaches that financial abundance flows more easily when we release resistance, clear limiting beliefs, and cultivate a receptive state of mind where opportunities can naturally appear. Introduction. The introduction of Receptive State. Letting money come to you effortlessly sets the stage by inviting the reader to rethink their entire relationship with money, shifting from a place of struggle, stress, and constant effort into one of openness, alignment, and ease. It emphasizes that most people have been conditioned to believe that wealth only comes through relentless hard work, sacrifice, and endless striving. Yet this mindset often creates resistance that blocks the very abundance they are seeking. Instead of chasing money with desperation or fear, the introduction presents the idea that financial prosperity flows more naturally when we step into a receptive state, a mental, emotional, and energetic alignment where we are open to receiving without force. It explains that this receptive state is not about passivity or waiting idly for opportunities, but about cultivating a mindset that harmonizes with abundance, allowing us to notice and act on opportunities with clarity and confidence rather than panic or scarcity-driven urgency. The introduction explores how money, like energy, responds to beliefs, emotions, and the subconscious patterns we carry, and when these are rooted in lack or fear, they push wealth further away, while trust, gratitude, and openness act like magnets, drawing it closer. It introduces the idea that by releasing limiting beliefs, reprogramming negative narratives around money, and learning to see wealth as a natural flow rather than a scarce resource, we can open ourselves to financial growth that feels effortless rather than forced. The introduction also points out that when we are receptive, our creativity expands, our intuition sharpens, and we find ourselves in the right place at the right time more often, which leads to opportunities that feel aligned instead of exhausting. It reassures readers that shifting into a receptive state does not mean abandoning hard work or responsibility, but rather approaching action from a place of inspiration and calm, where every step is guided by clarity instead of anxiety. In this way, the introduction highlights how the journey toward wealth is as much about inner transformation as it is about external effort, suggesting that money is a reflection of the energy we project and the beliefs we hold. By setting this foundation, the introduction prepares the reader to dive deeper into the practices and principles outlined in the chapters, where they will learn practical methods for releasing resistance, building trust, practicing gratitude, aligning with abundance, and living in a way that allows money to flow naturally. Ultimately, the introduction frames the entire book as an invitation to let go of the exhausting chase for financial security and instead step into a state of receptivity where money, opportunities, and abundance can come with ease, creating not just material wealth, but also a sense of inner peace and fulfillment. Chapter 1. The Energy of Money. Chapter 1. The Energy of Money explains that money is not just a physical object or a number in a bank account, but a form of energy that responds to the way we think, feel, and act toward it, which means that our financial experiences are deeply tied to the beliefs and emotions we hold. The chapter highlights that when people view money only through the lens of scarcity, fear, or constant struggle, they unknowingly project resistance that blocks its flow, whereas when they see money as an abundant, circulating energy, they create a space for it to enter their lives more freely. It points out that money, like any form of energy, moves where it is welcomed, trusted, and respected, and therefore cultivating a positive relationship with it is crucial. The chapter encourages readers to reflect on their earliest memories, and cultural messages about money, as these often shape unconscious patterns such as guilt, fear of not having enough, or the belief that wealth is reserved only for a few, all of which create energetic blocks. It explains that shifting these patterns requires conscious awareness and a willingness to reframe money as a supportive, abundant force, rather than something scarce or elusive. The text describes how gratitude and appreciation can act as energetic amplifiers, attracting more opportunities and resources, while resentment, worry, or shame repel them. It introduces the idea that just as electricity flows through open circuits and becomes blocked in closed ones, money flows more easily to those who remain open, receptive, and aligned with abundance, rather than closed off by fear or negativity. The chapter also explains that aligning with the energy of money does not mean ignoring practical action, but rather pairing inspired, confident steps with an energetic openness that multiplies their effectiveness. It uses examples of how some people work tirelessly without gaining financial stability because they carry inner resistance, while others seem to attract opportunities effortlessly because they align emotionally and mentally with abundance. The lesson is that true wealth is not created through force alone, but through a harmony between energy and action, where the mindset around money is as important as the external work. It concludes by emphasizing that once readers begin to see money as energy, they can transform their relationship with it, shifting from fear and scarcity to trust and receptivity, which becomes the foundation for letting money come effortlessly into their lives. Chapter 2. Releasing Resistance. Chapter 2, Releasing Resistance, focuses on the idea that the biggest barrier to financial flow is not a lack of opportunities or resources, but the inner resistance created by limiting beliefs, fears, and negative emotional patterns that push money away even when we are actively seeking it. The chapter explains that resistance can take many forms, such as constant worry about not having enough, deep-seated guilt about wanting wealth, fear of being judged for success, or the belief that money is hard to earn and harder to keep, and that these mental and emotional blocks act like invisible walls, preventing abundance from entering smoothly. It highlights that resistance often begins in childhood through messages absorbed from family, culture, or society, where phrases like "money doesn't grow on trees" or "rich people are greedy" become subconscious programs that influence adult financial behavior. The chapter stresses that awareness is the first step in releasing resistance, because until we can identify the patterns we carry, we cannot change them, and it encourages readers to observe their thoughts, emotions, and reactions whenever money is involved to uncover hidden blocks. Once identified, these blocks can be dissolved through practices like reframing negative beliefs into empowering ones, cultivating gratitude for what is already present, and using affirmations or visualization to reprogram the subconscious mind. With supportive messages, the chapter also emphasizes the importance of letting go of fear-driven control, reminding readers that the tighter they hold on to money with anxiety, the more they restrict its natural flow, whereas trust and openness invite greater abundance. Practical examples are given to show how resistance manifests, such as someone who consistently undercharges for their work because they subconsciously feel unworthy of more, or another who spends impulsively out of fear of loss, both of which create cycles of financial stress. By contrast, when resistance is released, individuals begin to feel lighter, opportunities seem to appear more easily, and financial flow feels more natural and less forced. The chapter makes clear that releasing resistance is not about denying reality or pretending challenges don't exist, but about changing the inner energy we bring to those challenges, because fear and negativity block solutions while calm openness allows creativity and opportunity to emerge. It reassures readers that releasing resistance is a process, often requiring repeated practice, self-reflection, and patience. But every small shift contributes to a greater sense of freedom and alignment. By the end of the chapter, the message is clear. When we loosen our grip, stop fighting against ourselves, and replace fear-based beliefs with trust and gratitude, we clear the pathway for money and opportunities to come into our lives effortlessly, setting the stage for the deeper practices of alignment and receptivity explored in the following chapters. Chapter 3. Trusting the Flow. Chapter 3. Trusting the Flow explores the idea that abundance becomes effortless only when we develop trust in the natural flow of money and opportunities, rather than constantly trying to control, predict, or force outcomes, because trust is the foundation that transforms financial stress into ease. The chapter emphasizes that many people sabotage their financial well-being by clinging to fear and doubt, believing they must control every detail of how and when money arrives, which creates tension and restricts the very flow they are hoping. For while those who cultivate trust in the process find themselves more open to unexpected opportunities and creative solutions, it explains that trust does not mean abandoning responsibility or living recklessly, but choosing to act with faith and confidence, knowing that aligned effort combined with openness allows resources to come in ways we might not anticipate. The chapter uses examples to show how people often close themselves off to abundance by insisting it must come through a single channel, like a job or business, instead of being receptive to the infinite ways money and support can appear, such as new clients, surprising gifts, or opportunities that emerge seemingly out of nowhere. By releasing the need to control timing or outcomes, we shift from anxiety to receptivity, and this calm state strengthens our ability to recognize opportunities when they arrive. The chapter also highlights that trusting the flow is tied to trusting ourselves, because when we believe in our ability to adapt, create, and handle challenges, we stop fearing the future and start allowing life to support us. This inner confidence creates a sense of calm, which attracts abundance more naturally, since worry and doubt act like barriers while trust acts like an open door. Practical tools are suggested, such as daily affirmations that reinforce faith in the flow of money, practicing gratitude for what is already present, and journaling experiences of unexpected financial blessings to strengthen the belief that money can come in easy, surprising ways. The chapter acknowledges that building trust takes time, especially for those conditioned to believe money only comes through hard struggle, but assures readers that every step toward trust lightens the burden of financial stress and expands their capacity to receive. It reminds us that setbacks and delays are not signs of failure, but part of the larger flow, often redirecting us toward something better aligned with our needs and desires, and learning to accept this with patience deepens trust even further. The chapter concludes by reinforcing that abundance flows most easily to those who remain open, calm, and confident in the process, and that by letting go of control, embracing uncertainty with faith, and trusting both ourselves and life's timing, we create a powerful receptive state where money and opportunities arrive with greater ease and consistency, making financial growth feel natural rather than forced. Chapter 4. Aligning Intention with Action. Chapter 4. Aligning Intention with Action explains that creating a receptive state for money requires more than positive thinking or wishing for abundance. It requires aligning clear intentions with purposeful, inspired action so that energy and effort work together instead of pulling in opposite directions. The chapter emphasizes that many people struggle financially because they either focus solely on action without clarity of intention, which leads to exhaustion and misdirected effort, or they focus only on intention, such as affirmations and visualization, without taking real-world steps that demonstrate commitment to their goals, and both extremes create imbalance that blocks financial flow. It clarifies that intention is the inner compass, rooted in belief, clarity, and the vision of what we desire, while action is the external movement that signals to the universe and to ourselves that we are ready to receive what we seek. And when these are aligned, opportunities appear more naturally and results come with less resistance. The chapter encourages readers to set intentions that are specific yet flexible, allowing space for abundance to arrive in unexpected forms, and to pair these intentions with actions that feel inspired rather than forced, because forced effort often comes from fear or scarcity, while inspired action arises from trust, creativity, and alignment. Practical examples illustrate this point, such as someone intending to build wealth through a meaningful career, not only visualizing success, but also updating skills, networking, or exploring opportunities that align with their vision, thus creating both energetic and practical pathways for abundance to flow. The chapter highlights that small actions taken consistently with clarity and purpose can be more powerful than massive effort carried out with doubt or misalignment, because aligned action has a ripple effect that attracts further opportunities. It also explains that procrastination, self-sabotage, and half-hearted efforts are signs of misaligned intention, often rooted in hidden resistance or unclear goals, and that by revisiting and refining intentions, we can bring actions back into harmony. A key message is that action should feel expansive rather than draining, and that when we are in alignment, even hard work feels purposeful and rewarding rather than exhausting. The chapter suggests tools like writing down intentions, breaking them into achievable steps, and regularly checking whether actions feel aligned with the desired vision, as this creates both accountability and energetic clarity. It stresses that alignment does not mean waiting for perfect conditions, but learning to act with confidence while staying connected to inner guidance, because abundance responds to both clarity and movement. By the end of the chapter, readers are reminded that money and opportunities flow most effortlessly when intention sets the direction and action provides the vehicle, creating a harmony that signals openness and readiness to receive. In this way, aligning intention with action becomes a powerful practice that not only attracts wealth, but also builds trust, confidence, and a sense of purpose, turning financial growth into a natural expression of clarity and inspired effort, rather than struggle or chance. Chapter 5. Gratitude and Abundance. Chapter 5. Gratitude and Abundance explains that one of the most powerful ways to attract money and opportunities effortlessly is through the consistent practice of gratitude, because gratitude shifts the focus from what is lacking to what is already present, creating an energetic state that naturally invites more to flow in. The chapter emphasizes that abundance is not just a matter of external wealth, but a mindset, a way of seeing life as full of opportunities, resources, and possibilities rather than limitations. And gratitude is the key that unlocks this perspective. It points out that many people unknowingly block financial flow by obsessing over what they do not have, constantly worrying about bills or comparing themselves to others, which reinforces a mindset of scarcity and tells the subconscious mind that there is never enough. In contrast, when we cultivate gratitude for even the smallest forms of abundance, like a meal on the table, a kind gesture, or a new opportunity, we shift our inner state toward openness and receptivity, signaling that we are ready for more. The chapter explains that gratitude is more than a fleeting feeling. It is a practice that can be strengthened through habits such as keeping a daily gratitude journal, pausing to acknowledge blessings throughout the day, or expressing thanks directly to others. It highlights that gratitude also transforms our emotional state by reducing stress, quieting fear, and amplifying joy, all of which create a vibration that attracts positive experiences, including financial ones. The text also explores how gratitude deepens trust in the flow of money, because when we recognize and appreciate what has already arrived, we become less anxious about what has not yet shown up, reinforcing patience and faith in the process. Practical examples are offered, such as someone shifting from resentment about paying bills to gratitude for the services those bills provide, like electricity or internet, which transforms a negative interaction with money into a positive and expansive one. The chapter underscores that gratitude multiplies whatever it touches, meaning that by focusing on existing abundance, we magnetize greater wealth and opportunities, while focusing on lack keeps us stuck in cycles of struggle. It also emphasizes that gratitude and abundance are not only about money, but about cultivating a richer, fuller experience of life, which makes financial wealth more meaningful and enjoyable when it arrives. By aligning with gratitude, we begin to notice opportunities we might have overlooked before, build stronger relationships, and carry a sense of fulfillment that makes us magnetic to both people and resources. The chapter concludes by reinforcing that gratitude is both a daily practice and a long-term mindset, and when combined with an abundant perspective, it creates a powerful, energetic shift that allows money to come more effortlessly, not because we chase it, but because we are already aligned with the vibration of having, receiving, and appreciating all that life offers. Chapter 6. Creating a receptive environment. Chapter 6. Creating a receptive environment explains that in order for money and opportunities to flow effortlessly, it is essential to design both our inner and outer environments in ways that signal openness, clarity, and readiness to receive, because the state of our surroundings and mindset directly influences the energy of abundance. The chapter emphasizes that clutter, chaos, and disorganization in physical spaces often mirror internal blocks, creating feelings of stagnation that restrict financial flow, while clean, organized, and inspiring environments naturally invite fresh opportunities. It highlights the importance of decluttering not just material possessions, but also outdated habits, negative thought patterns, and toxic relationships that weigh down energy and keep us stuck in scarcity. The text explains that when we hold on to things we no longer need, whether they are physical objects or limiting beliefs, we subconsciously reinforce a fear of letting go and create little room for new abundance to enter, whereas releasing what no longer serves us opens space for wealth and opportunities to arrive. The chapter also explores the role of intentional design, encouraging readers to surround themselves with symbols of abundance, whether through affirmations, vision boards, or uplifting objects that inspire confidence and optimism, because these visual cues subtly program the subconscious mind to remain aligned with prosperity. It stresses the importance of daily practices like meditation, grounding exercises, and gratitude rituals that strengthen the inner environment by cultivating calmness and receptivity, making it easier to recognize and seize opportunities as they appear. The chapter further discusses the impact of relationships and social circles, noting that environments filled with negativity, doubt, or scarcity-driven conversations can undermine our energy, while supportive, positive connections amplify confidence and receptivity. It encourages setting healthy boundaries to protect emotional energy, as this preserves the inner space needed for creativity and intuition, both of which guide us toward abundance. Practical examples are shared, such as an entrepreneur who noticed financial growth after reorganizing their workspace and releasing old fears, or someone who experienced more opportunities once they distanced themselves from pessimistic influences and embraced uplifting routines. The chapter emphasizes that creating a receptive environment is not about perfection, but about intentional alignment, choosing to fill both inner and outer spaces with signals of openness rather than resistance. It reminds readers that the smallest shifts, like clearing a drawer, replacing negative self-talk with affirmations, or spending time in nature to recharge, all contribute to cultivating an atmosphere where wealth can flow more naturally. By the end of the chapter, the message is clear. When we consciously design environments that reflect clarity, positivity, and openness, we remove barriers that keep money and opportunities away, and we position ourselves to receive with ease, reinforcing the truth that abundance flows most freely into spaces, both mental and physical, that are clear, intentional, and receptive. Chapter 7. Living in Effortless Wealth. Chapter 7, Living in Effortless Wealth, describes the culmination of the book's teachings by showing how to embody a lifestyle where abundance flows naturally and consistently, not through constant striving or stress, but through an ongoing state of alignment, gratitude, and receptivity. The chapter explains that effortless wealth does not mean sitting back and doing nothing, nor does it mean ignoring challenges, but rather living in a way where financial growth becomes a byproduct of clarity, confidence, and harmony with the energy of money. It emphasizes that those who live in effortless wealth maintain a deep trust in the flow of abundance, understanding that wealth is not just about accumulation, but about circulation, where money flows in and out freely to support growth, joy, and contribution. The chapter highlights that true effortless wealth involves shifting from a survival mindset to a thriving mindset, where decisions are made from a place of expansion rather than fear, and every choice, whether about spending, investing, or giving, is infused with intention and calm. It describes how individuals who embody this state often attract opportunities without chasing them, because their energy communicates openness and certainty, drawing people, resources, and ideas toward them naturally. The chapter also stresses that effortless wealth is holistic, encompassing not just financial stability, but emotional peace, meaningful relationships, personal fulfillment, and a lifestyle that feels abundant in every sense. It points out that wealth without inner calm leads to emptiness, while wealth combined with receptivity and gratitude creates freedom and joy. Practical guidance is woven throughout, such as creating routines that reinforce alignment, practicing gratitude daily to maintain a focus on abundance, making financial decisions that feel expansive rather than restrictive, and using setbacks as opportunities to refine alignment rather than as reasons to give up. The text also explains that living in effortless wealth means releasing the attachment to proving worth through material possessions, and instead seeing wealth as a reflection of energy, choices, and flow, which allows money to become a tool for freedom and service rather than a source of stress. The chapter reassures readers that this state is not reserved for a select few, but is available to anyone willing to consistently practice trust, gratitude, and alignment, because these habits reshape both the inner state and the outer experience of wealth. It concludes by reinforcing that effortless wealth is not about perfection or a life without challenges, but about embodying a receptive state where abundance is welcomed, enjoyed, and shared, allowing money and opportunities to arrive with ease and consistency, ultimately creating a life that feels rich in every dimension. Conclusion. The conclusion of Receptive State, letting money come to you effortlessly, brings together the central message of the book by reminding readers that wealth in its truest form is not about endless struggle, constant chasing, or forcing outcomes, but about creating an inner and outer state of openness that allows money and opportunities to flow naturally, consistently, and with ease. It emphasizes that every chapter, whether about recognizing the energy of money, releasing resistance, trusting the flow, aligning intention with action, practicing gratitude, creating receptive environments, or ultimately living in effortless wealth, was designed to show that abundance is as much an inner experience as it is an external result. The conclusion reinforces that financial freedom begins by shifting away from the fear-driven belief that money is scarce and difficult to obtain, and instead cultivating the awareness that money is energy, responsive to our mindset, emotions, and the beliefs we hold about what we deserve. It reminds readers that resistance in the form of worry, guilt, or unworthiness is often the invisible barrier that blocks abundance, and that letting go of these patterns by practicing trust, gratitude, and alignment clears the pathway for money to arrive in ways that often exceed expectations. At the same time, the conclusion stresses that receptivity is not passivity. It is an active state of readiness where clear intentions are paired with inspired, aligned actions that demonstrate confidence in receiving. It highlights the truth that wealth is not just measured in numbers, but in the quality of life it allows, including peace of mind, meaningful connections, and freedom to create, explore, and give. By maintaining gratitude for what is present, fostering environments that support openness, and choosing to act with clarity rather than fear, we create a lifestyle where money circulates with ease, where opportunities appear naturally, and where abundance becomes a steady companion rather than a fleeting visitor. The conclusion also reassures readers that setbacks or delays do not signal failure, but are part of the natural rhythm of flow, often redirecting us toward paths better suited for our growth, and that the ability to remain receptive during uncertain times strengthens the foundation for long-term prosperity. Ultimately, it leaves readers with the understanding that living in a receptive state is less about doing more and more about being aligned, choosing trust over fear, gratitude over scarcity, openness over resistance, because in that state, money ceases to be something we endlessly pursue and instead becomes something that arrives as a reflection of our clarity, calm, and confidence. It closes with the empowering idea that effortless wealth is available to anyone willing to embody this state, and that by making small, consistent choices to release resistance, embrace gratitude, and trust the flow, we can experience a life where abundance is not only possible but inevitable, turning money into a natural expression of freedom, joy, and purposeful living.